Sandy Sasso.
We have gathered here from many faiths, cultural and ethnic traditions and walks of life. We have come here as Americans, especially as American women. In our vast diversity, we are the face of America. We come here with one resolve, to say we are not going back. I hope you will join me in that refrain. We are not going back. In 1960, a woman could not get a credit card, a bank loan, or own property in her own name. We are not going back. In 1960, women could not report sexual harassment in the workplace. Women were told, boys will be boys, or you asked for it, it's your fault. We are not going back. In 1960, domestic violence was a family problem and not a crime. We are not going back. In 1960, women could not obtain a safe and legal abortion. Hundreds died from back alley abortions. One of them was my neighbor. We are not going back. In 1960, women could not purchase contraceptive devices and medications to control their own pregnancy and could not receive comprehensive sex education in the school. We are not going back. In 1960, women made up less than 1% of medical and law schools, and many job opportunities were closed to them. I know, I entered a profession in which there were no women. We are not going back. In 1960, homosexuality was considered a psychiatric disorder. Discrimination was rampant and marriage between people of the same sex was prohibited. We are not going back. In the early 1960s, there was racial segregation in public places, in schools, in housing, and employment, even in our own city. We are not going back. In 1940, Italian, German, and Japanese immigrants were required to register, to our shame. Jews escaping Nazi Germany were prevented from entering the United States, abandoning millions to their death. To our shame, we are not going back. I am here representing Women for Change Indiana. And a nonpartisan grassroots organization to promote the health, the safety, and respect of all Hoosiers. Motivated by a desire to address the escalating rhetoric of hate and the increasing acts of intimidation and violence which demean minorities, immigrants, and women, we will be a powerful voice for change. We are already 3,000 women strong. February 7th already has 1,400 women attending. We are not going back. Some years says, bring a glass. And if you don't have a glass, bring a teaspoon. Everyone has a teaspoon. I know a teaspoon is little and a fire is huge, but there are millions of us and each one of us has a teaspoon. Bring your teaspoon as a teacher, as a neighbor. Bring your teaspoon as a scientist and an artist. Bring your teaspoon as an employee and an employer. Bring your teaspoon as a mother and a daughter and a father and a son. Bring your teaspoon as a citizen and pour water on hate and fanaticism. The poet and author Marge Piercy wrote, "A strong woman loves strongly and weeps strongly and is strongly terrified. A strong woman is determined to do something others are determined not to be done. A strong woman is determined never to go back to a time when the rights over her body, her dignity, and her opportunities are restricted. A strong woman carries a teaspoon. In volition and in vision. We are strong women. We all have a teaspoon, and we are not going back.
We're not going back.